7 mistakes to not make when it comes to pricing your Airbnb in 2024. Let's do it. Hi, I'm Sarah Karakan.
I'm Annette Grant, and together we are
Thanks for visiting. We have hosted thousands upon thousands of guests, garnered thousands and thousands of 5-star reviews, and now we're going to help you do the same.
Mistake number 1, setting it and forgetting it. Like, hey, the weekday is one price and the weekend is another price.
It's simple, right?
No, you are going to be leaving so much money on the table, okay? So this isn't just boom weekday, boom weekend, 2 separate pricing.
Why?
There's events going on in your town. There's supply and demand. Trust me, econ was not my subject in college, but I get it now. I understand supply and demand, and your pricing can change with that supply and demand. You will see the option to use Airbnb smart pricing because you're going to take our advice and go in and work on your pricing, and they're going to serve you up smart pricing. But Sarah, why is this dumb pricing?
I think it's dumb pricing because Airbnb, rightfully so, is going to create their pricing software so that it maximizes revenue for Airbnb. I still don't buy that they have my property, my revenue at its best interests, right? Like I think, and I can prove this by some of the tracking that I do, the pricing that they suggest is lower than what I know the market is demanding, like what they would be willing to pay. It might be, you can dabble your toes in if you want to understand a little bit more about what other, hosts are doing in your area. It does show you that kind of information, but it's generated by Airbnb, it's run by Airbnb, and therefore I believe that it serves only Airbnb.
It is so important to know your numbers. We know what's going to be your knee-jerk reaction when you see your calendar not being booked. And that reaction is to lower your price. And unfortunately, lowering your price doesn't mean it's necessarily going to increase the demand in your area.
A race to the bottom is exactly that, a race to the bottom. And sometimes the people that you attract at those bottom of the barrel prices aren't necessarily the people that are going to take the best care of your rental. So instead of just lowering the price to see what gets you booked, you need to take time to understand your market, understand your neighborhood, understand
the seasons. This is a cyclical business. You're going to have a high season and a low season. And when you understand those, if you're having a low season, you're not going to panic and just want to drop the rate. Now, with that being said, it doesn't mean that sometimes you shouldn't discount your rate. We did a whole video over that, so make sure to check that one out. You can't afford to not pay attention.
Come here for the dad jokes, but stay for the Airbnb advice, okay? No, but you're right. Again, you are the CEO of your short-term rental. Okay?
You are your revenue manager.
It is not Brian Chesky, it is you. And you need to understand your market. How does one do that? Go to your city's website. What are the events going on? Follow the influencers for your area to see what events they're going to. And I'm not just talking about like big sporting events. Micro events can draw big crowds and dramatically change the price of your short-term rental. And you need to know when they're happening before they happen.
And it's not just the Taylor Swifts that are going to bring in that revenue.
No.
Like Sarah said, there are sports, there are concerts, but do you have colleges in your area? Man, those graduation weekends are big bucks, move-in weekends. Maybe you have events that happen, a flea market and an arts fair every single year. You need to get in tune with those moneymakers and those demand generators.
It can be hard to track, right? Because there's a lot of these, a lot of events are popping up. So we have a spreadsheet and we have a tab, like a 2020, 2021, 2022, 23, 24. So we're in 2024. We went to our Experience Columbus, just as an example, their calendar. We put in all the events there and the dates. And then as we hear of ones, because there are sporting events that are added, or maybe there's a playoff that's going to come, you got to plug that in and see how that's going to affect your pricing. How did it affect your pricing last year? Well, you will know because you're tracking all of the events. And we're also going to share with you how you should be tracking your pricing as well.
We can talk about pricing all day long. You can master it. But if you do not have an unbelievable product, your property, to back it up, those profits are going to sink fast.
We have to talk about our amazing sponsor, Breezeway. Breezeway helps us keep our cleans top-notch, our inspections top-notch, our preventative maintenance and maintenance requests from our guests at the forefront of our daily activities in our business. This way, our rentals look amazing and they continue to look amazing for a really long time. And that way, we can ask for the highest price possible for our rentals. So it really goes hand in hand. You have to check out Breezeway for yourself. Go ahead, click their link in our show notes and get a really special offer for our YouTube subscribers. This is a big mistake, especially in 2024. Everyone's getting hip to it. All those things we just talked about can be made a whole lot simpler if you would just adopt a dynamic pricing software.
Let the technology help you. I mean, it is so incredibly powerful. Will there be a learning curve? Absolutely, yes, but it will be so worth it. It is going to be priceless when you choose a dynamic pricing software. Your mind is actually going to be blown when you see how powerful it is going to help you know what that demand is. We talked about that earlier. You can't just lower your rate if you don't know what the demand in your area is. You're going to see what other hosts in your market are charging. The pricing software will have its pulse on everything that's happening. It's trolling the internet like by the second, letting us know what that pricing should be, what events are coming, so you don't have to do all that manual labor and try to do it all on your own.
Now, that being said, it is not like our first tip, a set it and forget it situation. It is an art and a science. So you have to go in there and tell the AI as much detail as you can. But when it comes to really knowing about your property, you have to make sure that software is performing at its peak. You might be in a great neighborhood, but maybe your spot in the neighborhood is like next level. So while the software is telling you need to be at, I don't know, $497 that night, you know that because you're slightly closer to whatever, you could actually get $525. And you know that because you were creeping up there the year prior. I want you to create a spreadsheet too, so that when you are doing these dynamic pricing softwares, whatever the guest actually books at, start tracking those numbers so that you have what we call historicals. And this will help you train the dynamic pricing software each and every year as you move forward. If you're wondering which software you should use, check out the show notes. We link to our favorite. And if you want to learn more about dynamic pricing software, check out the video we have about it and we go into bigger detail. Annette, you'll never believe it.
What?
I'm 100% booked.
It's not cool. When people tell you they're 100% occupancy,
What?
we see that as a big, giant red flag.
Why?
That they've left money on the table, that they could have pushed their rate higher, okay? You always want to be testing your rates, pushing them higher. If you're at 100% occupancy, that means you have no extra days. You left money on the table there. So we want to challenge you to increase your rate.
This goes back to knowing your marketplace. So you can use a dynamic pricing software, which you now know about, and so go see in your area what are occupancy rates that your competitors are getting and crush those. I'm not saying don't crush them, like that's yes, but if you're reaching 100%, unless of course you're doing like a midterm rental strategy and you're doing 3-month stays, like we're not talking about that. We are talking about you leaving money on the table because your price too low and everyone's gobbling it up and you could have had less people in your house and made more money.
And last but not least, let's talk about the length of stay and being too restrictive on that.
I get it. There's a lot of people out there. Well, there's two schools of thoughts. It's either we should always allow one-night stays.
Yeah. Churn and burn.
Just get them in and out. That's the best way to make the most money. Or I want to avoid parties. I want to do all these things. So only let people stay, a minimum of 3 nights or a minimum of 4 nights. The problem with this thinking is you're not using, again, the market to dictate what you should do. There are times when you need to allow one-night stays. For example, in our market, during the week, if I restricted it to 2 nights, I would never be booked because there are people in our market who are they're awesome travelers. They will take very good care of my home and they only need it for 1 night. And on weekends, yes, I can require a 2-night stay. Well, let's talk about future dates. Like if our booking window is 14 days, which means 14 days before the guest arrives is usually when they're booking. Your marketplace, maybe you're more of a vacation owner. It could be 6 months, 9 months, a year before when people are making plans. Okay, well, as you get closer and your booking window is getting smaller and smaller, you might want to open up length of stay to allow for a more flexible traveler to book your property as well.
And this is where the dynamic pricing software comes into. You can set rules about, hey, if it is 6 months out, I require a three-night minimum stay. Okay, 2 months out, 2-night minimum stay. All right, 30 days out, I just want to get as many reservations as possible. It can be reduced to that 1-night stay. So again, this is where you can use that technology on your side to maximize your profits.
All right.
So pricing is this like giant blanket statement
Yeah.
of revenue and pricing, but we need to get more granular. What are some other things we need to focus on, Sarah, with pricing?
I want to share with you some vocabulary that maybe you're unaware of. There is the acronym ADR, average daily rate. That is, on average, what is your vacation rental, what is your short-term rental priced at?
An average daily
rate. Or about occupancy rate. That is what percentage is your property booked within 1 month. Mm-hmm. And then another measure of success for your short-term rental is RevPAR. So that's revenue per available room. You take all 3 of these data sets, and it'll help you understand the health of not only your vacation rental, but the pricing, right? And we're talking about pricing today. So to help you figure all that out, we've got a really awesome freebie for you. Check out the show notes to help you figure out pricing that is best for your property, or at least get you started.
And if you haven't already, what the heck are you waiting for? Make sure to subscribe to our channel.
And with that, I'm Sarah Karakayan.
I'm Annette Grant, and together we are
Thanks for visiting. Talk to you next time.